Bisamoritande nongona bunga Jepeso pebori puri majita Nabi Nungu petembusa
Limbe is a touristic town found in the seaside of the southwest region of Cameroon. The town that was a linkway to a slave port during the slave trade era was also one of the first Cameroon's missionary posts. Most of what was discovered later on to be the hinterland of Cameroon came in as explorers landed in Limbe due to its access to the Atlantic Ocean. Limbe had indigenous people before the coming of Afritseka. But history holds that it was Afritseka who later on became a missionary who discovered Limbe, leaving the town till date a mission station for many Christian churches.
This is Victoria, now known as Limbe. Victoria was founded in 1858 by English missionary known as Afritseka, and this is where he landed in 1858. By then, the what you call the bridge or jetty was not built. This was built by the Germans. What you find over there. By then, it was this place was named by the Portuguese as Ambroise Bay. This is a bay. Geographically, this is a bay, and that's a peninsula, and this is where Afritseka landed. You know, he was driven from Fernando Po, Santa Isabel at the time, which was Catholic, because at the time the King of Spain didn't want to have any other religion but Catholicism. And Fernando Po, which is Equatorial Guinea today, was a Catholic colony under the King of Spain, and so they were sent away. And so Afritseka went to Douala and came to Victoria in 1858 and named this place Victoria after the Queen of Victoria. And some little information I'd like to tell you about Afritseka. You see, we venerate these people. Afritseka, we call him a missionary. He was a draftsman. He was working in the marine. And he was a very young man who started, these are people who were daring. He started doing seafaring at the age of 18. And came here to Victoria as a very, very young man. Very young man. And founded this place and got it from the king of Bimbia. Got it from the king of Bimbia. And built his first missionary posts at where you find the present Ebenezer Baptist Church. That's where he built his first missionary posts in 1858. Then built the present church, which is the Ebenezer Baptist Church down beach. He built it in 1877. And had all the property from here right up to where you have the press book. He left all that was property of Afritseka. There's a house which is still existing there. The house is called Brook House. That's where Afritseka lived. But at the time the English missionaries were leaving, they sold part of the property to the Basel Mission. The Basel Mission came from Switzerland and bought part of the property where they built their first church in 1890. The church is still standing, though it has been renovated. And bought all the property from the English missionary, which I don't want to go into details to give you the figures. And so that is the history of Victoria. And that is how Afritseka started Victoria as a missionary post.
Afritseka had named Limbe after the great Queen of England at the time, Queen Victoria. Victoria was later changed to Limbe, with doors, racing, and many different meanings given to that change of name.
With time, when we started Cameroonizing, we had to change the name from Victoria to Limbe. And then to tell you a little bit of the history of Limbe, Limbe gets its name from the river that runs cut across Limbe and empties into the Atlantic Ocean. That cuts across and right through the Botanic Garden. That's the Limbe River. And there are so many schools of thought about the name Limbe, which I don't want to belabor in this documentary, because people will say Limbe is a German name, Limburg, which is something like a misnomer of a German Limburg who used to work in the Botanic Garden, because when the Germans came here, the Botanic Garden was a nursery for all the crops we have in Cameroon. And so we had a German botanist who was Dr. Preuss, who had his nursery. He started his nursery at where we have the Atlantic Beach. And then we had Limburg and others who were working. And some people think that that name is Limbe comes as a deformed deformed name from the German name Limbe, which me personally I don't believe in as an indigenous of this place, because Limbe is a geographical feature which has always been there, and Limbe gets its rise from Busumbu, and Limbe meanders from Busumbu in between and cut across the whole Limbe town and empties into the Atlantic Ocean. And Limbe, it may be the way we believe that is a real native name, because Limbe, we say Limbe. Limbe in the native parlance in Bakuri means meander. So Limbe is the river that meanders from Busumbu and empties itself. So that is how we get the name of Limbe. We get the name of Limbe. So that is another school of thought.
With its closeness to the sea and the coming of civilization through the first visitors to Cameroon, the cosmopolitan nature of Limbe had started growing since the 17th century as people migrated from all over Cameroon to live there. Also, missionary workers had followed the mission from other countries to Victoria, and they also started families there.
The people living in Limbe, the natives of Limbe. Limbe as it was, if you look at Limbe town as it is, people, the inhabitants, just like back in their village, there are some areas which are not inhabited, but there are villages around, and people can move. People can move to that area. So when Afreseka came here and opened the missionary station, the natives started moving to the missionary station because there was school, they needed labor, the missionaries needed labor. So the natives started moving. The Isubus from Dimbia, they moved. The Bakwaris from the hinterland, just in the neighboring villages, Busumbu, Bojongo, all along, moved and then started coming here. And then a few other people who came with Afreseka, because Afreseka came with others, and landed here, like the Wilsons and many other families who came here, because those were people who were already trained as technicians, who could be carpenters, who could build a missionary station. And that is how the population started growing. And this now invited many other people to come. And so when the missionaries now, the Baptist missionaries started growing, and then the Germans colonized this area, and the Germans opened their plantations. And so more population from the hinterlands came again to work in the plantations. So you begin to see why the population started becoming cosmopolitan. It wasn't homogeneous and indigenous as it was supposed to be, because it invited an influx of people from different tribes in the country.
mongo kamba arikom waobi
As people came in, the activities of Limbe kept growing too. Apart from just being one of Cameroon's most popular fish spots, Limbe too is an agricultural heaven because of its volcanic soil from the Mount Cameroon that runs right down to Limbe.
Yes, farming, fishing, and hunting, but now it's diverse. Limbe, per se, you can say is the breadbasket of this country. Because when you look at Limbe, it's just that people try to downplay Limbe, by extension the southwest. When you look at Limbe and look at what we have as natural resources, there is no other place in the whole of West Africa that has a good natural place to build a natural harbor, a deep sea harbor, other than Limbe in the whole of West Africa. And so this place has always been good for maritime exploitation. Limbe is the place that hosts the only oil refinery in the country. Limbe is the place that hosts the headquarters of the biggest agro-industrial concern in the country, which is CDC, the second employer after the state. Limbe is the place that hosts the best shipyard in West Africa, even though it's being downplayed, but it's going to develop. Because when it started, people used to bring platforms. You see behind there, you can see oil rigs still standing. There are oil rigs that come from different places, from Angola, from Gabon, from Nigeria, to be repaired here at the shipyard, and from others. And if you go far into the sea, and you see all the oil platforms which are there, with all the petroleum companies operating, they have no other better place to repair their platforms or their oil rigs other than the shipyard here.
Limbe is one of the first touristic places of Cameroon, with hundreds of tourists attracted there daily. Its natural sights like the sea, or the blend of the magma from the hugest mountain in West Africa, Mount Fako, that levels right down to the sea. Its gardens, its hospitality, and other factors.
Ibulia di latana Obi Minya masu Lutu yasu
Now you have the Botanic Garden. When you look at the Botanic Garden today, there's no other town again you can find, I think, in the rest of Africa or West Africa, where you have a big and beautiful forest in the heart of the town. That is, when you look at it from first sight, you won't even believe that it's a place. The Botanic Garden. That forest has been reserved from 1884 up to today, even though it has been reduced to what it is, because Botanic Garden extended at the time of the Germans. You can visit the Botanic Garden. You can visit the Wildlife Center, which started at the zoo, or the Zoological Center. You can now visit Bimbia, which is an historical site, which is going to be developed. It has become a national heritage, and the Cameroon government and other international organizations are fighting for Bimbia to become a World Heritage Site that will be taken over by UNESCO, and we pray that that should come as soon as possible. And then you can visit the lava flow, the 1999 lava that flowed from the mountain down and ended just about a few kilometers from here. And then there are many other sites. You have the Lake Nachtigal at the Buncha. Then you have the beautiful islands you see here, and there are many other places, of course. Then you have the beautiful hotels and cabarets and restaurants, and the beautiful ladies and gentlemen and people you have around, and of course good fish.
Adding to the touristic potentials of Limbe is the Bimbia National Heritage, a slave port that history says thousands of slaves left Africa through the slave port during the slave trade.
Bimbia was the first missionary post in Cameroon. It was the first missionary post in Cameroon where Jamaican missionaries, who were black missionaries, landed in 1844, before even Alfred Secker came. This to show you that, and these were missionaries who were of slave origin from Jamaica, who brought the gospel to Cameroon and landed in Bimbia and started the first missionary post there. They were Baptist missionaries. You had Joseph Merrick and Fuller. But before then, Bimbia had been a slave post before it became a missionary post. A slave post in the sense that slaves, it was a place like we can compare to the Gore Islands in Senegal, where slaves were brought from the hinterland and were brought to Bimbia, and the relics are still there. You can still find artifacts and buildings that have, of course, because of the passage of time, they've all been eroded. But when you go there, you can still find concrete evidence of the slave trade at the time, which took place in Bimbia some 400, 500 years back.
With the coming of decentralization, Limbe has recently seen more development. Limbe has 3 subdivisional councils, Limbe 1, 2 and 3, all of them under the Limbe Urban Council. The Limbe 2 Council, which is on the way to Batoke, has recently seen a skyrocketing development since decentralization, with many people investing there.
We have so many hotels that I would like you to go around and discover them yourself. And again, naturally, we have the islands which are being decked around our maritime area. We have the islands like the Ambazonia Island, we have the Bota Island, and we have another small island there they call Limbe Island. There are a lot of rivers there. All those islands will fall within Limbe too. Still on touristic, we have beaches. We're very, very much interested in, you like the beaches because they are not like other beaches. Our beaches are covered with black sand. So those are areas that we have that can attract a lot of tourists. We have a beach like the Mile 6 beach, the famous Mile 6 beach, which is quite large, spacious enough. But people don't frequent the beach because of there's the natural sea erosion, which usually disturbs at times when people swim there. That it kills so many people sometimes ago. But that notwithstanding, we have other beaches like the Limbe Beach, the Wovia Beach, and the Batoke Beach. They are beaches all. We also have the mountain behind us. If you look at where we are, the Limbe 2, we have boundaries with the maritime, the Atlantic Ocean around the east and the south. On the north, we have the mountain, which is behind us here. So these are areas that can attract a lot of tourists within our subdivision.
Limbe has thousands of people visiting it daily for one reason or the other. The people there are very hospitable and receptive. There has been enormous peace in the area, but as people keep coming, more it's on its way to make Limbe a more safe haven.
Oh, in fact, there is no other place. That is why Limbe is known as the town of friendship. There is no other place which is so friendly than Limbe. You know, that is in Limbe where you can have people come from all walks of life, from all religions, from all tribes, intermarry, live peacefully, enjoy themselves at all levels. And in fact, it's cultural diversity and integration. Limbe is a microcosm of cultural diversity and integration of Cameroon.
And if I was given an opportunity to ask government for anything, for the first thing I would ask to develop the area is for us to have roads to farmland areas, because immediately a road passes everywhere or anywhere, development will always follow. And again, now, if I were given an opportunity to ask government for something which is very important now, because of the crisis that we are facing, this Boko Haram set, which is a pain in our necks, I will ask government, and this is very important what I'm trying to say, I will ask government to equip the police and the gendarmes in my subdivision, because we are at the borders. We are the borders. We share borders with Nigeria. From here to Nigeria is not far. If you take a speedboat from here to Nigeria, it's barely 2 hours. We share borders with Equatorial Guinea. And we have a lot of beaches around the maritime area. We have a lot of landing sites around the maritime area, whereby people can land at any time of the day, at any time of the night. And our forces are not equipped. When I say forces, I mean our gendarmes, our brigade, our police. They are complaining to us every day. They don't have access of, even if you invite them even at midnight, when you are attacked by thieves or whatever, they don't have the means whatsoever to intervene. So if I had the opportunity for now to ask government for anything, I would ask that they should create us roads, and that they should equip our brigade, gendarmerie brigade, and the police within the subdivisions. These subdivisions that are bordered by the maritime area with several beaches, several inlets that people can enter at any time without you knowing. I think that would have been a principal thing for me to put forward
If you are a visitor visiting Cameroon and you don't visit Limbe, you need to come again. It's a beautiful place.
Dia nating inyong hariko Emian lolaki say Dia nating inyong hariko